Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brendan Plays. This is Total Extreme Wrestling for our All Elite Wrestling Say. We are coming off the debut edition of Rampage, 78 rated show, our first show on the road in the series. We went to Dallas, we had the big show there, 2,200 people attended, 1.02 TV rating, 768,000 viewers on TNT. Main event was MJF, Jon Moxley, 79 rated. MJF keeps the AEW Championship. All is going well in that regard. Brand new show. It's in, it's set up, it's ready to go, and I'm looking forward to seeing the future of Rampage going forward, because I really don't know how we're going to juggle 3 shows now. It's going to be pretty tricky, but we're going to try our best to do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this edition of AEW Dark. It's already booked, so let's get into the first show of today's episode. So the Wingmen, they defeated the Bear Country in the pre-show, 29 rated there. We had a local talent, Michaela Smith. She was beaten by Abaddon for 29. Pretty good chemistry between these two. Abaddon performing at 30. Not too bad from her, I suppose. She's making small little improvements. Not too bad. We opened up the show with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford teaming up to take on the Bunny and the Blade. Didn't quite really get the result we were looking for. We were hoping to have Kip Sabian teaming up with Penelope and the Blade with the Bunny to try and help the women's popularity situation. Maybe some more mixed tags. Maybe an option down the line. But it didn't quite work out for us. And I guess thinking about mixed tags, there are some more opportunities for us to maybe do that. If we really wanted to, you could even do like MJF teaming with Britt Baker. If we really wanted to try and cheat our way to improving the popularity of the women, interacting more with some of the top male stars may be the way to go. It's an easy way to try and boost it, but we are desperate, so we may have to try and do those things. Kip Sabian was the best match, 41. So we're giving Kip Sabian a small little, AEW Dark rivalry, and he'll do that with Ricky Starks. So Kip Sabian said he's really happy to be finally winning again, so he did win that match against the Blade. And Ricky Starks interrupted and began to mock Sabian. So Starks, obviously, he's one of the hot up-and-coming rising stars. He's been winning and doing all this, having all the success in the world. So winning for him comes pretty easy, not so much for Kip Sabian, so Ricky Starks had something to say about that, kicking off a short little feud between them. Something to give Ricky Starks to do, honestly, and Kip Sabian has a little bit of momentum, he has a little bit of popularity building, so we figured we may as well capitalize on that, and a short little feud for Ricky Starks I think is always good, especially giving him a win at the end of it. The Wingman attempted to pick up Julia Hart, so they're kind of flirting with her backstage, talking about how great they are. So Julia Hart, I think this was her debut. Yes, it was. So it's her debut. So she's the cheerleader gimmick. That was given a rating of great. But Julia was kind of swept in and saved by the Varsity Blondes, who kind of interrupted the Wingman and made sure that they weren't going to harass her any further. So this is how we'll set up how we'll have Julia Hart join up with Pillman and Griff Garrison, and we'll start a little rivalry between the Wingmen and the Varsity Blondes. So again, another little feud that will take place on Dark, just to try and elevate some of the teams involved here. Big Swole took on Riho for a 27 rated match. Riho 39, Big Swole 32. Not enough popularity here. I figured that Riho may have enough popularity to make it decent, but did not turn out to be the case. So I have to keep the women on the pre-show by the looks. Jade Cargill post-match says she wants to beat all the former champions in AEW to prove that she is a worthy participant in a championship match. So 41 rated for that promo there from Jade. So we are going to do Riho versus Jade Cargill. We already had Jade defeat Nyla Rose, and I guess eventually we might do Shida versus Cargill as well. As we really build Jade towards potentially becoming a women's champion. I'm not sure if we'll pull the trigger on her in that, but obviously we're positioning her as one of probably the second top heel in the company. Brandy Rhodes, so we decided to put her in a segment here. You know, she's obviously got a bit of popularity and some mic skills, so we're going to capitalize on that a little bit more going forward. So she's setting the rules for Diamante versus Britt Baker. No interference is allowed for their match at Fyter Fest. So obviously Britt Baker's been winning thanks to Awesome Kong, winning thanks to Rebels. So now Brandy sets the rules. No, you cannot have anyone ringside for that match. You're all alone. 44 rated promo, pretty good. So our main event was Jungle Boy versus Carl Anderson. 53 rated in the end. Jungle Boy 60, Anderson 58. So this match was penalized a little bit because it was a little bit too long. So usually we can have as long as a match as we want, but we did play around with our product settings because if you remember last episode of Rampage, we had a few issues there trying to apply all the product settings that we have to in such a short show. So we decided to change it and try and make it a little bit easier for us in that regard because it's just not as realistic as we probably would like. So I guess one of the settings we've given it means that our matches can't be super long. So we had this an 18-minute match. I really wanted this to have a big main event, a really strong match between these two. It would have been good without the penalty, I reckon. It would have been probably 60, which would have been a really nice main event. But we'll have to maybe play around with the settings a little bit further to get what we're looking for. But yeah, we might have to think about this episode of Dynamite shortening some of the matches so they don't go too long. 38 rated though was the result of Dark. Yeah, it wasn't great. The main event would have been pretty good, but everything else was kind of penalized for not having enough popularity. But I suppose we really are going to use Dark as a building ground for some of the really low-end talent, and especially the women as well. And we have to take some risks to do that, and we tried that this episode, didn't pay off. All right, let's go ahead and get into the results of this week's Dynamite. And Diamante took on Michaela Smith for 29, Diamante 32. Michaela picking up a 22 rated performance. Diamante got the win. Another win for her, which is good to see. Sean Spears gets a win over Colton Gunn for 24. Spears performing at 43. Not too bad from him. John Moxley opened up this week's episode of Dynamite and he talks about his future in AEW after his devastating loss against MJF. 97 rated. So we've had Eddie Kingston recently address his future without the Death Triangle. Now Moxley's got his future. We've got Eddie Kingston in a match against Brian Cage later on. So we're kind of planting the seeds for, two guys that are kind of a little bit lost. Nothing's really happening for them. They're a little bit down the dumps. They've had a few losses as of late. So we're kind of setting it up for those two to kind of unite and become a team. Park took on John Silver in a 70 rated match. TNT Championship on the line. 12-minute match. Park 79. John Silver 38. Pretty good from him considering his popularity. Park was fantastic though. 79 from him. Good match. That's his 8th defense of the championship. At the moment, I don't have a legitimate feud with Park at the moment. I don't have him an opponent at Fyter Fest. I need to find him one. I'm not sure where to go at the moment. I'm just going to have him kind of defend on a regular basis, picking up some wins, having some good matches with guys on the roster, and this is certainly a great example of that. Speaking of Park, he demands that AEW find him some more competition. 78 rated segment. So changing the product settings here, and some segments, some superstars here are doing a little bit better. Park with a 78 promo. I don't think we would normally see that from him. So, playing around with the product settings is interesting. So we'll see how it affects the rest of the show here. 50-run rated match between SCU and the Butcher and the Blade. Kazarian 51, same with Daniels. Blade 35, Butcher 32. We picked up the win. SCU picked up the win though, as we get ready to have them feud with Proud and Powerful. And speaking of Proud and Powerful, they blindsided and attacked SCU. So we don't know why. I guess we'll find out next week. But we're setting up the feud there. Proud and Powerful looking to make a message, send a message to SCU and beat them. So obviously SCU, we're getting ready to break them up because Daniels is going to retire. So we're wanting to have a couple more little feuds with them, with some of the guys to help put over some of the other tag teams. And we figured Proud and Powerful need a big win. They need a feather in the cap sort of thing. So this would be a nice little feud to kind of send off SCU in a way. Britt Baker took on Anna Jay for a 46 rated match. Baker 46, Anna Jay 32. Great chemistry here between these two women as well. 10-minute match. overall, really, really good. Baker picks up a win. Good little spotlight here for Anna Jay as well, which is great to see. And we wanted to have the champion in action just to keep her going. Post-match, Britt Baker says that she just proved that she can win without Reba, and she's going to do the same at Fyter Fest. So obviously she's found out she's not allowed to have Rebel in her corner, so she's going to try and win the next few weeks without her to prepare for that match against Diamante. 45 rated segment here for that one. Once again, pretty good from Britt Baker, the champ. Mark Henry's in the gym with Will Hobbs as he is helping him prepare for his match against Christian Cage. 58 rated, pretty good. It did lose some heat, but considering that Christian wasn't directly involved in this one, I think that worked out pretty well. The Hardys took on the Seidels for 58. Jeff Hardy doing well, 76. Matt Hardy, 65. Matt Seidel, 46. Mike Seidel, 28. So a couple of brother tag teams going at it here. So the Hardys, they want to try and prove that they're the best brother tag team in AEW. Hint, hint. So good opportunity for them to do so. Beating the Seidels, 58 rated match. And look, the Hardys were much better in this one. I don't know, maybe these product settings help the Hardys. They are much more suited to, them. So maybe this is a good little change that we've made to try and boost them up. Post-match, well, the Hardys invited the Young Bucks to the ring and they respectfully challenged them to a title match. So 2 babyface tag teams, and they set up a title match between these 2 great tag teams. We are thinking about turning the Young Bucks heel. I think maybe using the Hardy Boys to do so would be a great way to do it. Hardy Boys are a loved tag team. Fans like them. They're well respected. So if the Young Bucks were to be, dicks and, turn on them, I think that would be a really good way, an effective way to do so. And I think maybe the Young Bucks have kind of beaten a lot of the lower end babyface tag teams. They've beaten a lot of the top heel tag teams, the FTR, they've beaten Inner Circle. I think really just only Proud and Powerful. So now we're kind of already having them feud with some of the babyface tag teams with the Hardys here. So I think it might be a natural progression for them to switch it up and change into heels and maybe align them with Kenny Omega once again and kind of go in that way. I do like, Kenny and the Young Bucks together. I think that's a good combination. Brian Cage took on Eddie Kingston, a part of the Fyter Fest qualified tournament. First round matchup between these 2 men. Brian Cage defeated Eddie Kingston to advance. Eddie Kingston had a 56 rated performance. Brian Cage, 61. So we did have this as a wild brawl match, and it really favored Eddie Kingston. He had a fantastic performance. Ricky Starks got himself involved, helping Brian Cage pick up the win. So that's another, little factor about the storyline with Eddie. He's always getting outnumbered. He got outnumbered by Death Triangle. Now he's getting outnumbered by Team Taz. He needs someone to kind of watch his back, and he doesn't have that. So that's kind of where we're making some subtle little hints there. We had Sammy Guevara telling Chris Jericho that he needs to beat Cody Rhodes alone to prove that he's capable of being a top guy here in AEW. So he's asking Jericho, please, I don't need your help. I need to do this on my own. This one is for me. 83 rated between these 2. Very strong segment there. And Sammy's really starting to grow into his own here and become a top guy. And we also had Kenny Omega saying that it's ridiculous that he has to be in a tournament to get a title shot, and it's even more ridiculous that he has to face Paul White to do so. So Kenny's not happy. 82 rated segment there. So the main event's Kenny Omega, Paul White. I don't know how this is going to go because we did have this as a relatively shorter match than maybe what I probably would have went for. But let's see it. 80 rated. Wow. There you go. So it is a pretty big match on paper. Both guys, 75 plus popularity. So you'd have to expect this one to do pretty well. Kenny Omega 83, Paul White 72. So very strong match. Kenny Omega picked up the win over Paul White, and he advances to the next round of the tournament. Post-match, a huge brawl broke out. Kenny Omega was looking to take advantage and keep the beat down on Paul White. Well, Adam Page came out comes Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Miro's out there, Ray Phoenix, he's also in the tournament, he comes out there, Penta's there to help him. Just all hell breaks loose pretty much. 70 rated to close out the show. So all the competitors in the tournament fighting it out there to kind of set up for the rest of the tournament. 70 rated for that segment. And we do have a 79 rated show. Wow. Could be our best show we've had as a Dynamite. That is, or maybe if not ever, that is very, very close. Did not expect this, and I maybe think potentially tweaking the product settings kind of helped immensely here. So maybe we need to go back to what we were doing to keep it, on par. But yeah, Park and John Silver had a great match, and the main event was really good too. Lots of good promos in between. So yeah, there you go. Really, really solid show. Very happy with that. So the results for Dynamite, let's take a look. We had 756,000 viewers in total for our 79 rated show. Probably one of our best viewerships I think we've had. 2.2 thousand viewers, and we held it in Philadelphia. So it's a real big chance for us to get on the road and show us what we can do in other venues. So that's really, really great to see. So yes, that was our best TV rating to date, which is great to see. Now, there is a potential reason for that. We did go ahead and sign a couple of more TV deals, more so on the very low end scale. So for example, I think we got a new Japanese deal and a new UK deal. So it would have added a few extra thousand viewers without going overboard. So yeah, probably another 20,000 viewers or so. But it was a fairly big rating regardless. And that's no surprise. We had our best show rating to date, I believe, for a Dynamite. So very, very positive. Obviously, in the real life news, a lot of WWE cuts have happened recently. So it's the time of filming this episode. It happened sometime earlier in this week. So you got the likes of Fandango, who has been fired, Killian Dane, a lot of the other guys, the Bollywood twins, the Bollywood brothers, whatever they're called. Tony Nese, Davari, those sort of guys, Tyler Breeze. So there's a handful of talent that's been let go, none of which I want to sign. There's no interest of any of them from me. So we're going to leave it at that. We won't really look too much further into that. There's still plenty of top talent on the market that we could, think about. Because obviously we had the other round of cuts recently, which was much more, positive in comparison. So we'll have a quick little look at that. You still have guys like Braun Strowman, even Buddy Murphy's an option. Chris Hero's out there. And there's some other guys that have really risen up the ranks in terms of popularity in this save, like Jacob Fatu. I think he's got a big future in wrestling at some point. Not sure where. Even got some of the veterans like Kane, Undertaker. They're available in our game. Velveteen Dream, he's an option as well. You could bring in Moose for an opportunity. So there is, Tessa Blanchard still, Tia Trinidad, and of course Tommy Ann. So there's a few options out there that we could explore. Would we grab any of them? I don't think so. Probably Braun Strowman, if he comes to AEW, which I think he will. If he's not going to go back to WWE, I feel like he'll go to AEW. If he's going to wrestle, if he might just retire. That's a very real possibility. He might just not go anywhere. But he's keeping himself in good shape, so there's a chance he'll go there. I think he would add a lot of value to our roster, but there's probably nobody else. Tommy End, I just think he'd be another guy on our roster. So yeah, probably only Strowman I feel like would add some value as someone a little bit different with his size, and he'd have some good matchups with some of the guys in the roster. So none of the other more recent cuts are we going to explore, none of these ones here. Alright, so wrapping up this week's episode, we have AEW Rampage, episode number 2. So trying to follow up last week's big episode with another good one by having 2 tournament matches on there. Also, the Pinnacle will be all over this show. Let's jump straight into it. So the Gun Club took on the Private Party on the pre-show. 50 rated match, pretty good. Isaiah Cassidy 54, Mark Quinn 50, Billy Gunn 52, Austin Gunn 27. Not too bad. Gave Private Party the win. We even had Billy Gunn take the L, so hopefully that will boost up Private Party just a little bit. Alright, we opened up with the Pinnacle with a 67 rated segment. Now, instead of having MJF do all the promos here and do all the talking, I decided to have each member of the Pinnacle cut a promo, be involved, and hopefully develop their skills, and maybe potentially with someone like Shawn Spears, aid him in increasing his popularity by having him more directly involved in the episode. So I figured if he's more involved in the angle, he's going to be able to try and improve more instead of having MJF just cut a great promo. Let's get everyone trying to develop. So 67 is pretty good, not too bad. Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard were the weak links in this one. We then had the Pinnacle team up. So we had FTR and MJF team up to take on the Dark Order. So I knew that the Dark Order wasn't going to have a great match, but I figured, okay, let's have the Pinnacle pick up a win, team up, and it's a nice little opportunity for the champ to be in action, team up with FTR for once, and see how they go. MJF 83, Dark 67, Cash 70, Silver 39, Uno and Grayson 41. So overall, really good performances. Obviously, just a 61 isn't huge, but it's a good matchup and a good opportunity just to have the Pinnacle out there and maybe try and elevate the Dark Order here as well by having them involved in a strong matchup. Christian Cage cuts a promo. Will Hobbs, 77 rated. He says he doesn't care about taking a spot from one of the young guys. He'll do whatever it takes to advance his own career. Great promo from Christian, 77, and helps elevate the Christian Hobbs storyline. I think it's going to be pretty strong by the time we get to the pay-per-view. Miro took on Lance Archer as a part of the Fyter Fest qualifier. 69 rated match. Miro 66, Lance Archer 61. Miro picked up the win and defeated Lance Archer and eliminated him from the tournament. So, yeah, really strong matchup here between these two. Miro has been out of action recently with a minor injury. So he's back, he picks up a win. Unfortunately for Lance, yes, he takes the L, but Lance, getting him involved in good, solid matches will help, increase him from being a mid-card guy to hopefully a low-tier main event player. That's where we want him to be, and he's not far away from starting to get more wins rather than losses. But unfortunately for Lance, he just hasn't quite been the guy that we've gone with at the moment, even though he performs pretty well. We're giving Miro a second chance, a second wind, I suppose. He's been pretty poor so far, but I'm trying to see if we can get anything out of him for the time being. Adam Page cuts a promo and says he discusses what he needs to do to become a champion going forward. So 78 rated promo there. So it'll be Adam Page and Rey Fenix in our main event. So I figured this match will be better than the Miro and Archer match. So let's hope that was the case. It was 70 rated, so slightly better. Adam Page defeating Rey Fenix in a 70 rated match. Adam Page 78, Rey Fenix 70, and it was a part of the tournament, of course. So I don't think we had the storyline advance in this one, so it probably could have been a little bit better if we had associated the storyline. So that's probably where we went down. But nonetheless, another solid show, 69 rated. I think that's a pretty good way to back up last week's big debut episode. It's not huge, it's not amazing, but it is solid. We had two good matches to kind of, advance what's been happening on Dynamite, and good to see the Pinnacle out there as well. So I'm happy with that. 69 is pretty good. Alright, let's go and take a look at Rampage. So we did sign some new television deals with some of the lesser tier areas. So obviously we still have the TNT viewership, which gained 655,000 viewers. So that's a fair drop from where we were last week. I think it might have been 50,000-ish viewers from memory. But we obviously gained some of that back by having some of the other areas. So, about 9,000 from Japan, 5,000 from Mexico, I think, 28,000 from the UK. So that was a big one. Plus another few more there as well. I think another 9,500 from Sky 5, 5,500 viewers in Europe. So yeah, it added probably the 50,000 viewers we would have lost. We probably gained that back from having the extra television deals. So we're trying to increase our popularity in some of the other tiers, the lower tier nations. So hopefully we can actually go and tour over there. I think it'd be great to do an overseas show at some point. But we need to build our popularity there ASAP if we're ever going to think about doing that, if it's not going to be a disaster. So that's the thinking there. But obviously with Rampage, the idea right now is obviously the next month or two, we really want to have good quality shows week after week to build the show up, right? So if you're a viewer of the show, you want to gain some trust that this is not just going to be another throwaway show, that you want to make this a must-see show. This is a show that you need to watch. If you're going to watch Dynamite, you need to watch this as well. So that's the plan there. I think over time, maybe 1 out of the 3 or 2 matches will be a really strong headline match, whereas some of the others may not be. But at least for the time being, we want to try and make all 3 matches feel important. Have our upper mid-card guys to top-tier guys on the show, all over it, competing, whether they're taking on lower-tier guys or taking on other top guys, it doesn't matter. But we want to make sure that each match is featuring someone who's worth watching. So that's the game plan there anyways. So Ron Killings, R-Truth, he's hung up the boots, 49 years of age, and he doesn't have a wrestling deal at the moment, so he's been a free agent for a while, but he is finished here in this TEW which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Let's go have a look at what else has been happening before we close things out. So obviously last month we gained $171,000 in profit. We were in the green, as I like to say, for the very first time. So far this month, we are also in the positive. So after our first week of shows for the month, we are there as well. So it's a really good start. We did tweak our pay-per-view settings, so we shouldn't get a ridiculous buy rate like we did last time. So we should be on the lower end scale. But obviously, we're going to get more ticket sales. We're having more events now. We're going, more on the road. So hopefully, our ticket sales will help boost up our revenue from where it was. So there are some very positive things happening in that regard. So I'm pleased to say with that one. But our storylines, we've got a fair few heading into Double or Nothing. So Christian and Will Hobbs, that's looking pretty positive so far. Sammy and Cody, lots of popularity there. That should be one of our big matches. I really believe Diamante getting a bit of a spotlight against Britt Baker will work out pretty well. The Fighter Fest tournament, the first round is finished. Let's have a quick little look at the tournament so far. So it is currently in the semi-finals. Adam Page versus Brian Cage, Miro versus Kenny Omega. So the quarterfinals, it was Page and Ray Phoenix, Cage and Andy Kingston, Miro and Lance Archer, and Kenny and Paul White, of course. So probably most likely it'll be an Adam Page, Kenny Omega final. That's kind of been a long-term feud. One last match between these two. The winner gets a title shot, and they can finally go their separate ways and prove who's the better out of the two. That's probably where we're going to go. Let's be real. I'll tell you that now. So maybe some shenanigans may happen in the final. I don't know. But that's kind of where we're headed. And the winner will get an opportunity for the championship at Fighter Fest. So I think that'll be a pretty solid match. I mean, obviously not a lot of build for Adam Page or Kenny Omega versus MJF. The tournament's kind of the build-up for it. So maybe we will have that match. Maybe something may happen and have another follow-up match. I don't know. But yeah, there's some preliminary thoughts nonetheless. But yeah, lots to happen. We're currently 3 weeks away from Fighter Fest. So we're going to continue building up. And obviously this tournament, we should have a clear-cut winner and maybe a week or two of build before we get to Fighter Fest nonetheless. So I'm not too concerned for the main event feud just yet. But lots to look forward to. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. Plenty more to come. Rampage and Dynamite. There is a lot of shows to get through in the near future. And lots of opportunity to build our roster. So I'm looking forward to getting in here and playing around with it. And obviously, we're trying to fix this product setting situation as well. Hopefully, we can fix that soon. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.